So what can we expect in the world of jazz in 2023? Hi, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for clicking on my video. Nice to meet you if you're new here. One trend that has been gaining momentum in recent years is blending jazz with other genres. I've seen jazz artists collaborating with hip-hop and electronic music producers, resulting in some unique, some might even say, innovative sounds. I will have to assume that this trend will continue and evolve in 2023, with more and more jazz musicians experimenting with different styles and incorporating a wide range of influences into their music. But the trend seems to be going in the direction of the extreme. So much so that a lot of us think that jazz will nearly be non-existent moving forward. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but in a way, this is nothing new. Ever since the 1960s, as jazz was becoming less popular, to the masses at least, musicians tried to revitalize its awareness and appeal by infusing elements from other styles. One of the biggest trends that I see taking place in the music business with jazz is the very young. The focus seems to be on extremely young musicians. The focus on youth will be the trend probably for the next few years, I would imagine. The days of labeling music genres are disappearing. Whether you see that as good or bad, you can totally see it happening everywhere. What I see happening in 2023 is a further homogenization or amalgamation of seemingly all genres, where everything will just really be a type of pop music. Millennials seem to have a lot more reverence for the past jazz legends than the Gen Z generation. It seems Gen Z is losing ties with the past, or don't seem to care about it, maybe? Am I wrong about this? If you're a Gen Zer, let me know. Name some Gen Zers that I can check out. Prove me wrong. I'm thinking that the lack of focus on tradition will continue, good or bad. There will be less and less for our ears to recognize a style as jazz. I think this will continue moving forward in the following years to come. And I'm not necessarily blaming only the young musicians for this. I'm sure there's a lot of young musicians who do respect the tradition and have checked out a lot of it. It's likely that the record companies or the music business, the suits, who are probably just cashing in on what's popular. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against anyone making money in the music business. It's a business. A business is supposed to make money, right? Personally, I don't have a problem with pop music embracing elements of jazz. That's been going on for a long time. But when it's the other way around and it gets super extreme, when the lines are blurred, can it still be jazz? Would it be too watered down at that point? Starting this year, what's labeled as jazz will sound more and more like something a DJ has sampled to create compositions. Essentially, techno jazz. This duo is a good example. With the recent flooding of AI technology, I have a feeling more and more music is going to be released where people use AI to actually compose music for them.
Take me to your band leader.
Everything will start to sound even more the same, and another prediction is that there will be a total lack of swing feel. However, I believe that this will spark an anti-techno jazz movement, even if small. If not this year, then in 2 or 3 years, a counter movement will begin. The younger musicians will go back and appreciate more of the jazz from the past and maybe even bring back more of the swing. I also predict that if not in 2023, but soon, a sincere move towards authenticity over chops or technique will result in a comeback. It seems like the young generation have facility on their instruments, perhaps like never before. They know the language, but at least to my ears, the art of storytelling, having something to say, their own uniqueness, their own sound, seems to be lacking somewhat. This used to be a goal as a musician, how to stand out. Now, I hope that doesn't sound like I'm an old guy yelling, "Get off my lawn!" Maybe their authenticity, their unique storytelling is just different. And maybe it will develop as time passes. I mean, you have to live a little while, right? Since the new generation grew up with social media, I really think that an effort to connect with their fans will result in acting and behaving more real and authentic. So that could definitely spill over into the music. And that's good. The old days of musicians having a mysterious persona and being far removed from their admirers is sort of a thing of the past, and I think connecting with people will become the norm. One big prediction for 2023, I feel, is there will be a lot less opportunities for lesser known musicians to tour. That means it will even be harder for independent musicians of any age to break themselves out into the market. Even with the worst of the pandemic being over, it's still really risky to sink money into a tour unless you're heavily funded or already financially well off. Touring is so risky right now. One could lose a lot of money if one or more members of the group gets COVID, heaven forbid. Gigs have to be canceled or postponed. Those people have to quarantine, and who pays for the hotel rooms and the extra van rental? The band leader. You see, in jazz, it's not a group effort like a typical rock band where everyone is in it together and they all split expenses and profits. The leader of the group hires sidemen and sidewomen and gives them a guaranteed salary. If you've budgeted correctly as a leader, hopefully you get enough of what's left as profit once everything is paid for. And the seemingly sudden arrival of the recession isn't helping. The cost of fuel, food, flying, and car rental costs have just skyrocketed. Just when we thought the worst of the pandemic was over and things could resume, unless you're Taylor Swift, it's really hard to make a profit from touring. I bet even Pat Metheny is feeling a financial hit, and he's arguably the highest earning touring jazz musician today. Another prediction is that the continued growth of jazz education. I think that more and more institutions of higher learning will expand their jazz programs or add programs each year to their existing music schools. I also predict more and more growth in the online education industry, with music in general, not just jazz. You know, jazz has always been a genre that values mentorship and passing on knowledge. In this short playlist, I lay down some tried and true lessons to help you learn to improvise jazz authentically, all while letting you develop your own sound. Click on the playlist, jump inside, and I'll see you there.
Take me to your band leader.